they've got an extremely high standard for what is and isn't free speech. And I can understand not having certain words available on the platform, like the N word. I mean, we don't even swear on the podcast, because there is a time and a place for these things. And I actually think that this does encourage a plurality of platforms. Torba is in a position where with Gab, you can say, no, well, you can have any amount of swearing and profanity that you like. But if you wanted to be a more sort of family friendly Republican Christian site, then I can see why you wouldn't want those things, because it's a wrong tenor. And especially if you're using Amazon services, which might already have preventative measures, so you've got to make sure you don't. And that's fine. It's the political deplatforming. For example, if you were to misgender someone on Twitter, you lose your account. And so it's that sort of extreme partisanship that I think is the main problem. But I do think they make a good point where they say, the Amazon Web Services, Parler didn't get a fair hearing. There's no particular reason to think GETTR would get a fair hearing. But like you said, you're getting things sorted on that.
Yeah, and I would say too that it's the one component that you can't leave out here is that if we're actually going to take on big tech, we have to be able to scale. We have to go, and this can't be just an American platform. This has to be a global platform. You have a lot of people from a lot of different countries, a lot of different communities, where you have to obviously abide by the local laws and regulations. But obviously you have to make sure it's an inviting community where people can join. Yeah. Now, just be clear, this doesn't mean it's some country club Republican powder puff football and everyone's going to come on and oh, hey, this is great. Here are my pictures of my dogs. We're all going to be happy and, be nice and go out for tea with each other. That's not the case at all. I mean, people, look, the Southern Poverty Law Center, those nut jobs are on the platform. They're abiding by the terms of service. They haven't put anything, they'll break it. And you know what? Great. That's, they're additional users. They count to my user base. Now, if they, I'm not saying people are usually the most polite to them, nor
but
should
they. Probably don't expect it.
No,
they know from their position that,
But look, they're, as long as they're abiding by the terms of service, then great, let's go. So there's definitely the online fisticuffs, but there's up to a certain point. Yeah. And I think because if you want to scale, if you want to make this a global platform that can actually challenge Twitter, look, Facebook lost users last quarter. I still think that's one of the biggest buried leads in tech. Why do you think they changed their name to Meta? It's not, I mean, have you heard of, Ford's not going to change their name. McDonald's isn't going to change their name. Greg's isn't going to go and change its name, which that's where I'm going to go next to get one of their pastries.
They're pretty good, actually. You've got to give them their credit. They're bad for your health, but they're very tasty.
I might get grown into the apparel business too. And we'll talk about that later.
They are. It's cringe.
Okay.
But anyway, sorry, go on.
I'm just trying to show how hip I am to the UK set. But we want to be able to scale. And I think that's part of the reason that if we're going to have that, nobody is going to, you're not going to please everybody all the time.
Sure.
I think we found the sweet spot on the bat with how to approach it on here's how we protect political free speech. Here's how we make sure that no one's ever censored or shadow banned or algorithmed. And again, I looked at some of Alex Jones is literally live streaming 24/7 on the platform. Alex Jones abides by our terms of service. And great. I'm very happy to have Alex Jones on the platform.
And in Alex Jones's defense, he abided by the terms of service of Twitter as well, and they still got rid of him. Because again, like with Tommy Robinson, it was just unfair.
It was totally unfair. But what we're going to make sure is that there's no political discrimination into picking the winners and losers in the free speech debate. But I realize for some people who might be purists in it.
Yeah.
And look, and some of the purists say you should be able to, I'll give you an example, pornography. Yeah. They'll say, what are you doing? Say no pornography. That's a decision that we made saying that our community, people that we want, or what the people want from us, I should say, they don't want to see a bunch of porn. There are plenty of places to get porn. I mean, you can go to Twitter. I mean, it's, I've heard there's some website called, I won't throw any specific names.
It's interesting pornography is a very interesting one because none of the Silicon Valley platforms allow it apart from Twitter. YouTube, Facebook, any other sort of, they want to be family friendly as well. And Gab even we're not having pornography on Gab. And I see that porn bots people are trying to undermine that platform as well with porn bots. This is one of the problems that they have. And so it's, it's not wrong to say that this is not a pornographic website.
Look, and now that, we have porn stars who are on GETTR. They abide by the terms of service.
They're not posting nudes, are they?
No. And guess what? Actually, it was funny. A couple of weeks ago, I had back and forth with a pretty prominent American porn star, at least someone that they tell me is a pretty prominent American porn star. I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Wouldn't know
Or at least what, Matt Tierman tells me. But we had a back and forth on China's Belt and Road Initiative. It was like, here I am on GETTR having a back and forth, but hey, they're a valuable member of our community, and we're glad to have them. And more the merrier. There are plenty of places you can go for porn, but GETTR's not one.
It's not wrong to curate the space to be what you would prefer it to be, and this is genuinely one of the problems I think even Torbra is aware of, that there is the extremity of free speech can make the platform unappealing to people who are not already invested in the war against free speech. And I posted on Gab the other day saying, look, right, I respect what Torbra has built here. I respect that he's got his own infrastructure. I respect that he's never bent the knee to Silicon Valley. And I respect that he is true to this free speech extremist position, because I myself am a free speech extremist. But it doesn't mean that every time I post on Gab, it's pleasant to see a bunch of Hitler did nothing wrong, the Holocaust didn't happen, but the Jews deserved it, and all of this other, I just don't want that under my, and so it's just one of those things. It's like, look, this is a consequence of that. And if you think that a normal person is like, right, okay, I'm kind of tired of Twitter, I really would like an alternative, what am I going to choose? And they look at Gab and see all this Nazi posting, it's like, N-words, Nazi posting, all this sort of stuff. It's not an appealing thing for normal people to join the platform.
I think the one other thing too, that the free speech movement, again, I don't have a traditional background in free speech advocacy, but I lived it in the front row of being with Donald Trump in 2020. And actually, not even just Trump. Look at the way that big tech came and censored with COVID. You get sentenced to digital jail if you say the virus.
Or the elections.
Or the elections.
Oh, my God.
Or the Hunter Biden laptop. Or
anything.
That we saw.
Yeah.
Look, Facebook is dying. They're losing people. Twitter, their business model is misery, according to the Washington Post.
And it's also tiny as well.
Yes.
For a tech giant, having, 230 million monthly users is very small.
But so here's the thing, is that there is, by having more platforms, having more of a decentralized approach, the power's not all in the hand of the Silicon Valley big tech guys. Our growth isn't coming at the expense of each other. And I think that's a really short-sighted way to say that, hey, it's, Truth Social versus GETTR versus Gab versus Parler. We're all fighting over some pie. Guys, Facebook's dying. We're going to take people from them.
Yeah.
We're going to take people from Twitter. We're going to take people from YouTube. Look how Rumble is stepping into the scene. And so I think that people are used to now having several different social media apps on their phones. Who's to say that those several apps aren't going to be, say, GETTR, True Social, and Rumble, for example? Who's to say that people are going to keep around Facebook or Twitter?
To watch the full video, please become a premium member at lotuseaters.com.